Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John. Should we call this John After Dark? John's Long Walk After Dark with Cooper. How you doing? This is the telepathic bunny.
I don't know. It's up to you, man.
So, for those of you who are confused, I'm working a new schedule, so I can either do videos at like noon in the noon at noon or midnight at midnight. So I'll ask people what's good for them. I kind of prefer midnight because then I'm not in a rush. I don't have to just stop and leave for work. So working the 3:30 shift is really a pain in the neck. It's getting on my nerves. So here we are.
And you're somebody who broke his neck, so you should know. Uh-oh.
You froze.
Sorry.
It's going to be shipping out soon. We're pretty much done with all of the artwork, and we're just compiling the print files right now. And Zactad's giving us a blessing. And just give me a shout out if you could see me, hear me. It looks like my internet is going wonky. So if you could hear me, say something in the chat. So a new job with the Book of Job. Yeah, Book of Job. Yeah. New job with the Book of Job. Those words, what are they called? Homonyms when they sound the same or spell the same, pronounce different? No, homonyms sound the same. What's that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, Zach, take it here. So, Coop, I've been talking. Do you want to bring us up to speed on the Book of Job? You're a better biblical scholar than I
am. The Book of Job. It's one of the books that is credited to Moses to have written it. There's two possibilities. It's either a story illustration by Moses, or it's a story that was shared to Moses that he wrote down. That God told Moses that it's like this event happened. It has a lot of anomalies in it that are not found anywhere else in Scripture, and so it was one of the books that was debated to rather be included in the canon because of some of the questions, but it seems to fit the rest of the Scripture well enough that it was accepted as a canonical book. There you go. Homophones, that's it.
Thank you.
Homo something other.
Yeah. I'm a homophone phobe. So whenever words sound the same, I'm afraid of that.
There you go. Anyway. But yeah, it's basically a 3-act play. Which is why some people think it's fictional. So, because it has a rise in action, it has the first act, and in the second act, and then it has a climax and a conclusion. So, it's very, very similar to a play in the way it's structured.
Okay. See, I'm glad I asked you about this. I never thought about any of that. So what is the story about? Let's tell people what the story is about.
Well, the story is about Satan visits God. He sneaks into heaven, basically, and then he challenges God that basically that if God's people were ever if anything bad ever happened to God's people, that they would curse him and die, basically. And so how has he proven anything? And so God says, have you considered my servant Job? So God's the one that brings Job up. And Job's considered a righteous man, wealthy, blessed by God. And so he tells Satan that you can do everything, that you can take everything from him but his life. And so Satan proceeds to kill all of his kids, take all of his property, and leave him destitute. He refuses to curse God.
Right. He even gives them boils. That's always the part that sticks out to me the most.
Well, that's the second. That's he
Oh,
goes
that's
back
later on
to God.
after with the gun.
Yeah, he goes back to God after Job doesn't break, and he says, "Well, it's like if his health was hurt, if his he has his health, so he thinks he can recover, but if you took his health away, he would curse you." And so God's like everything, but his you can do whatever you want to, just don't take his health, his life. And so he curses Job with physical affliction so bad that he has no relief night or day. And all during this, his friends gather to basically tell him, well, you must have done something wrong, and his wife's just like, curse God and die, and but basically he holds like his faith holds, and eventually he winds up going to God himself and complaining, and then God like sets him straight. But then he restores everything to him at the end of the day. So
right. He never renounces God.
No.
He has moments of doubt, but he never outright he never outright abandons God or leaves God or curses God or renounces God, whatever the correct word is.
Yeah, it renounces God would probably be correct. Yeah.
Am I freezing up, or is Cooper freezing up?
I could be freezing up, but that could be me.
So, short story is the devil basically says like, "Oh, the only reason people worship you is because they get rewarded," and God says, "Well, no, there's people who aren't rewarded, and they still revere me, they still love me, and they wager, and Satan takes away everything, and takes away everything material, then he takes away everything physical, and then Job never renounces." Now I remember the friends. My wife was talking about the friends. They give him bad advice. I kind of don't remember, what were they telling him to say or do.
Well, one example of the bad advice is that this is your fault. You brought this on yourself. And there's sin in your life, and this is why this is happening to you. Basically accusing him. And he knows he didn't do anything wrong. And so
you must have did something that we don't know about.
Right. The one is that God is mad at you. You have to make restitution to God, and he'll forgive you if you make restitution. But then Job's like, I got nothing left, so I can make restitution. It's just it's just basically accusations and bad advice. His wife is like utterly and completely like. I mean, I don't know if they stayed married after this point, or if he just got a new model or something, because that woman, I don't know how anybody could stay married to her. She completely showed her butt, At one point, she's like, just curse him and die,
Just curse him and die.
Yeah.
Exactly. It says the main thing is they think bad things happen because of a specific sin rather than sin in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if somebody was born, a guy that was born without the eyes, one of the things that they did was they brought him to Jesus and says, well, who sinned, him or his parents? Because the thing was like, if something bad happened to your kid, it's because the parents sinned, and Jesus was like, neither, this things happen that God can be glorified, and then he heals him. But it's there's a lot of bad philosophies going around, and one of the things is expressed in the story. So, that whole idea that sin is because sin is a punishment always, or that anything bad that happens to you is a punishment. In every case, it's which is not always the case, but Job explores a lot of really difficult questions.
Right.
And
Yeah. Basically, why do good things happen to bad people? Why do good things happen to bad people? Why do bad things happen to good people?
And and vice versa. Yeah.
And vice versa too. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's a real it's one of the most difficult books in the Bible to read. It always gets me angry.
Yeah.
Cooper knows,
right,
that I'm going through something myself, and this is the book that probably gets me the angriest. And
Yeah.
And I know Cooper and we're not going to come to a synchronous view on this one, but we're still buddies. But oh man, this one just makes me, maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe other people tell me I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
it would just gets me angry at God. It makes me put God on the same level as Zeus or Apollo.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about that?
With
everything, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. It's easy to be anything. It's easy to be a good American. It's easy to be a good husband. It's easy to be a good kid. It's easy to be a good student. It's when things are easy, it's easy to be, when your job is pleasant, it's easy to be a good employee. When you wash in the bucks and everything's going, it's good. It's easy to be a good employer. Yes.
Well, I mean, we just saw an example of this. Last week we learned this innocent 23-year-old girl who'd never harmed a fly gets brutally murdered, and then they bury it. They tried to bury it, and the guy gets off scot-free.
Yeah,
and then Charlie Kirk, who.
Well, we know the answer to why bad things happen to good people. The answer is Democrats. So,
well, pretty much, but
we know that answer, brother.
Well, but you got somebody like Charlie Kirk who, by everybody that knew him and everybody that interacted with him, and hundreds of thousands of people, that only have good things to say about him. After a while, the preponderance of evidence kind of adds up that this was indeed a really good man.
Right.
And
I haven't talked about Charlie Kirk for two reasons. First reason is I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon and people accuse me of, clickbait.
Oh, I jumped all over that bandwagon today. I don't give a crap,
And second, I really didn't know him until he was dead.
Well, a lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't.
So I'm not going to be one of these people that, now my wife has been showing me clips and, now I'm like, oh my God. But at the time I thought he was just another Ben Shapiro. I thought he was just a political pundit that just went around and
I had somebody, like, that I kind of took their head off, and I apologize later, but he was like, "Oh, well, why is everybody treating him like a martyr? Why did they kill him? It doesn't make any sense." And
he is a martyr. If you ask me, he's almost a textbook definition of a martyr.
Oh, now, he definitely is. He every definition possible, he's a martyr. But the thing about it is when you look at how powerful Turning Point had become, and see how much it swayed the last election, especially in young people. Went from -41 to a +3, and the only difference was Turning Point going to these colleges and young people.
I thought he was just like Steve Crowder and I are on the same side, but that guy just rubs me the wrong way. I don't particularly like him. So I whenever I see his smug face, I just turn the channel, and in my mind I equivocated. Is that the correct word? Charlie Kirk.
Equivocate, yeah.
I never paid him any mind. You know what I mean? Right. And now I realize I wasn't the target audience. It was young people and stuff. So So and then he was shot, but I was just like, dude, even. And again, this is my previous thought, so don't get mad at me, anybody.
No problem. Go ahead.
I was just like, the guy's a jerk, but he doesn't need to be shot. You know, he no. And then I started finding out about the guy. You know, jerk was the last thing to call him. You know, he was
right.
You know, and then I see clips, and oh man, there's a guy that a comic book artist that I interact with frequently that I'm just like, I can't say anything because if I say anything, it's going to be the end. We're never going to talk. But it's basically celebrating Charlie.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I'm like, you know, you know, when you type out a response and then you just delete it, you know.
Right. I get it.
But anyway, yeah. So.
Well, I mean, that's just a good example of like my parents were about as godly as you can go. I mean, okay. My father was he founded the church that I grew up in.
Oh, really?
It was a splinter off of a split. In other words, they split, and then the split didn't get along, and so another group was a split off of the splinter, and that was the church I grew up in, and only one deacon with that group, and that was my dad.
Oh, so you're the son of a preacher man.
I'm a son of a deacon. Son of a deacon. They're worse than the preacher's kids. Yeah, but he founded the church. He actually drew the blueprints for the church building. That the first building that they had. And he found like the first pastor. You know, he organized the thing, and he was all everything, man. He was their outreach. He was just about everything. And when he died, he was such a good man that when he died, they had to open up all 4 parlors of this funeral home and make it into one gigantic room because of the amount of overflow. So, and so that was a guy, you know, killed in a head-on collision, him and his wife both, and the whole family.
Oh my God.
And that I remember the whole thing. I'm the only person that remembers the whole thing.
So you were wee lad?
Yeah, I was 9 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know, I was in the car, and I was the only one that was conscious through the whole thing. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've got some images in my head I wish weren't there, but you know, that was one of my great struggles was, you know, because I knew my parents were good people. I knew they were, and that these weren't like these were salt of the earth people, and they didn't deserve what they got. My brother was 11 years old. He died like later that month from the massive head injuries he was sustained.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about this.
I mean, yeah, I know it's rough. I don't lay it on everybody.
Yeah, I had no clue. Yeah.
Well, you know,
I listen to this. I realized what a blessed life I've lived. You know, like my biggest struggles were I was broke during my college years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, but my brother was like one of the most dedicated Christians that still to this day I've ever seen. You know, I kept running into people after, you know, he passed away at 11, and I kept running into people who said he was my only friend growing up. You know, he was my best friend or my only friend. And that was, I was like, how did one kid become so many people's only friend? And it was just that he was just that kid, you know, salt of the earth kid. And, you know, my sister was mentally handicapped now because of it. My oldest brother didn't remember our childhood. So it took him a long time before we started acting like brothers again.
Oh, wow.
That's only been a recent thing.
So your sister had like a traumatic brain injury from the accident?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, she had to relearn to walk and everything. She has no memories, you know, before. But sweetest person you ever meet, funny person. She learned to walk on the inside of her feet, believe it or not. That's how she relearned to walk. Her brain found a way to relearn to walk. But that's the thing, though. so I mean, Job has a particular. I told you before that I said that Job has a particular interest in me. So
Yeah, not now hearing all this, yeah, I can understand. Yeah.
well, I mean, born with the birth defect, lawnmower accident when I was 5, kicked my toe. I mean, I had colon cancer 2 years later. I
Oh
mean,
my God.
I mean,
Did you ever have boils? I mean,
no, I didn't have boils. I am Irish, so I got burned, blistered a few times, but um, but 4 years after, my aunt took me in, my mother's sister, and then so that was 82. She in 86 she died of a heart attack.
oh my God.
So that was 4 years later. So I mean, then my uncle remarried a woman who hated my guts. And brought her son in who bullied me the rest of my childhood. So, I mean, it's one thing after another. So,
Were they religious?
well, yeah, more or less. But
So you kept your faith through all of this? Like you didn't go through?
No, I didn't have. I was angry at God, hated his guts. 22. When I came to Christ, it was begrudged. It was almost, it was almost a surrender, a literal surrender. My sinner's prayer was, "Lord, save me or kill me," because I was that miserable. But I still have my moments. But
who doesn't? You're human,
well, but when I talk when it comes to Job, I mean that's pretty much like I've kind of lived that in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, geez, holy mackerel, yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, is faith is not something that is cheap, and it's a choice that you make. And so when people, I mean, I've had people come at me, that were atheist or agnostic or whatever, and try to say, well, it's easy for you to have faith, nothing's ever happened to you,
Oh, yeah,
I'm like, where about that? I don't.
Oh, where do I begin? Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't lay that on people. I keep it to myself. I mean, one thing about church culture is you have a testimony. Everybody expects you to drag it out and say, "Oh, look how I've overcome," and
my wife did her testimony last week. And if you know how terribly shy my wife is,
right,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I could do it. I've done it before, but I basically every time I tell somebody that, give people a rundown, I get the same, same expression that you got. There's this one girl that found out about it. I didn't tell her, but she found out about it. And every time she would see me, she would burst into tears. Oh. And I was like, what
and
is
it
wrong?
Had nothing to do with your face. It was just your life.
Mm-hmm. That was just my life. She was just so empathetic. But I asked her brother, I was like, why is your sister breaking into tears? It's like, oh, I told her. I was like, why did you tell her, man? Because I told him kind of like in the moment. But the thing is that, that's the thing that people don't understand about the don't worry about it, man. Don't worry. But you see, like Christianity had such a hard beginning. It was persecuted by everybody. It still is. It's all across the world. It's still
and people deny it, but right now Christianity is the most persecuted religion. And when I say that to people, they roll their eyes and laugh at me.
It's not even close. It's not even close. I mean, just as recently as ISIS was literally murdering entire towns because
in Africa, they were literally stocking body parts.
Yeah.
Like the Assyrians used to do, like Old Testament horror stories.
Right. Yeah. Well, somebody mowed down like 20 Christians in I think Sudan, maybe. and that was just like last summer or something. This was very recent, but
Yeah, pretty recently. This summer, not even last summer. This summer, yeah.
Okay. Well, the thing about it is, though, is even though it's the most persecuted religion on the planet, it still grows. Like it grew exponentially after Charlie Kirk passed away.
It's on an upswing this year. Yeah. Since COVID, it's on an upswing. And
well,
something happened to my wife, and she'll talk to my brothers and sisters and in-laws and everything. And at first I was like, they're gonna, and they're agreeing with, and like my sister-in-law is like, oh yeah, they start talking about, I wouldn't expect that 5 years ago.
Right.
So there's something in the air.
Well, I mean, Luke Stone came back from COVID coma over a month. And while he was in the coma, he actually visited heaven. Nigeria is really roughly. Definitely.
Yeah.
But while he was in that coma, he actually visited heaven. Visited a place, that with colors he's never seen before, with sights, sounds he's never heard before, and he still has these memories very vividly. And he actually met Jesus up there. At least the being that he thinks is Jesus, who told him to keep walking. And then kind of walked with him a little while, and then he walked all the way. It's like he got lost on his way back, but then somebody was singing, and he went towards the voice, and he opened his eyes, and it was a nurse singing a song.
Oh wow!
Off the radio, because his wife left the radio on all the time with Christian music, and so this woman was singing a song and off the radio, and that brought him back. But I mean, the thing about it is Christianity is belief in God has never been an easy thing, and one thing at Job basically is being good doesn't guarantee an easy road.
Right. Being good isn't just a golden ticket to a wealthy, prosperous life.
Well, I mean, when you look at the modern philosophies, like the New Apostolic Reformation people, that everything's works with them. However much money you get is how much money God gives you back. However, if you're a good person, then good things happen to you, and if you're a bad person, bad things. It's like the whole karmic circle mixed in with Christianity.
And what church is this?
It's called the New Apostolic Reformation. It's like some of the largest churches, in the world right now, or teach this stuff. They basically think that people can still prophesy, and so
these are Christian denominations.
No, they're not Christian, but they claim to be Christian.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing Christian about them.
I never heard this.
Well, a lot of our modern praise songs come out of this movement, and it's a little disturbing when you know what they actually teach. But you hear Bethel, I guess the Bethel music is what Bethel Music, Elevation Church, and several other groups like that. Hillsong is another one. But they basically, most of the music that you hear in music or in churches right now come from those three organizations. And all three of them teach things that are definitely not in the Bible in any way, shape, or form. And so it's just one of the things that's kind of infiltrated the church. But
well, that's one thing I like, because my wife, she searched and she went to 3 different churches. It's like these non-denominational churches, not big Roman Catholic or anything like that. And I was, my only concern was, don't join a cult. But what I like about this church that she's in
Uh-huh.
is they encourage her to read the Bible. So she reads the Bible every day, and follows along. And they have like a little,
Mhm.
I think it's like a website. So
Well, these churches I mentioned don't even use the Bible.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so
Yeah.
I my concern about the cult is
Right.
vaporized, but I didn't even think about it. But
Mhm.
like a lot of these until because I was like an evangelical atheist for about 20, 25, 30 years. You know what I mean? I was one of those assholes. And then one day I saw somebody behaving the way I behaved, and I'm like, oh, geez, I took the worst part about religion, kept
Right.
that, and got rid of the religion.
Right.
I realized it was the zealotry that bothered me more than anything else.
So, did you ever use the flying spaghetti monster like
I thought that was just,
terminology?
yeah, no, I thought it was a funny story. I was
Yeah.
amused by it, but to me that was just like childlike nonsense.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Right.
but it's funny. Yeah. I got a kick out of the Pastafarians putting spaghetti strainers on
Yeah.
their head.
There you
That
go.
kind of stuff amused me. Like for a while in college, I was getting annoyed with like there was a guy in New York City. He was Orthodox Jewish, and he went through the whole probationary period as a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
But then all of a sudden, now he's a full-fledged cop. He can't get fired, but he can't work on Saturdays now. But he did it while he was on probation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Now he's so now he's doing. Oh, I can't work on Saturday. So he said, if you make me work on Saturdays, you're discriminating against me. And I used to say, no, by not letting him work on Saturdays, they're discriminating against everybody else.
Right.
Let the Gentiles work Saturdays. They're treating him exactly the same. Everybody has to put their turn in the barrel and work a Saturday. And
yeah,
so,
but he can't. He has to work on Sundays though.
Yeah, but Christians don't get Sundays off.
Well, that's true. That's true. Isn't it
I mean,
interesting?
Muslims don't get Fridays off, so he's being treated like everybody else. Like in America, we have an ass backwards definition of treating people exactly the same. We consider discrimination. Like there was a Muslim bus driver who he converted to Islam, and now he has to wear, or maybe it's chic, I forget what it was, but he has to wear a specific headdress, and it goes against the uniform code. You're discriminating against. No, discriminating means if they do something different to you, but they're doing something the same. Everybody. So in college, I started my own religion. I called it exceptional. Exceptionism. We were and instead of the chosen people, we were the exception. We were God's exceptional people. And our religion was we got every exception that every other religion got. So
there you go. There you go.
Oh, we can't work on Saturday. We can't work on Saturdays. Oh, we get different food if we go to jail. We're gonna get kosher food. We get steak. We get steak and lobster if we go to jail.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we get to wear a silly hat if we become bus drivers. Whatever exception anybody else got, we got a better except because we.
It sounds like Scientology.
Right. It was a goof. It was a goof.
Right.
I was kind of hoping it would catch on like the flying spaghetti monster, just to show people like we can't have a society if anybody can make, because if every religion's valid and every religion makes up their own rules that gets to get an exception to the establishment, then why have rules? Oh, I don't have to wear clothes. Oh, I don't have to work. I get free things. My religion says I get free things by you not giving me. So and I was arguing that for it was more, I didn't believe it, but I just thought it was funny. I was just trying to make a point.
Well, it seems just from everything that you've talked about, it seems to me that your problem ultimately is with the structure of religion, not necessarily the God of religion. So
yeah. But there was a couple of questions I didn't want to interrupt when you were telling everything about that. But Student of God says, do you know what Job did wrong? If you don't know, read it again. What did Job do? I guess I missed it. What did he do wrong other than just get caught in the crosshairs?
Well, Job, his own personal righteousness became his God.
Okay.
And the fact that he had done nothing wrong became a wrong thing, because he was relying on that, and to like, because he was a righteous man that did nothing wrong. Essentially, when bad things happened to him, he resented it, and so when it was just him and God, when the last part of Job is just him like railing against God. I've done nothing wrong to you. I've done nothing to violate law. You know, why did you allow these things to happen to me? And then God had to basically give him the rundown about who God is, and who Job is. And then Job had to repent. Um, but you see this a lot with people, especially Christians that rely too much upon their righteousness, um, and basically adherence to the law. They get arrogant. They get judgmental. They get kind of like expect things from God, because of who they are, and their accomplishments, basically.
Yeah.
And that's just not the way things work. I mean, you see it's like Paul was saying, if anybody had any, if you want to talk about resumes here, my resume is peerless. If anybody could get into heaven just based on good works, or everything that the law says makes a person good, then I've got to check all those boxes, except I'm nowhere near able to get into heaven. I'm not, there's nothing I do that would make me deserve. Something to do with his kids. Okay, you've got me there.
You got me. Just tell us what is it. Did he teach his kids to like Hanson? Was that the problem? I saw your video on Hanson.
Hanson is awesome music, man.
Right. You know
Hanson
what?
is awesome music.
You got me. I'm not going to say I'm putting on Hanson records, but you got me to respect Hanson.
Yes.
I'm not going to say I listen to their music, but you got me to respect Hanson with that
video.
Well,
you should. You really should. Trust me. They got a lot of earworms. But
yeah, the Spaghetti Monster is a fun logical experiment.
Yeah.
That, you know what I mean? It's a fun logical experiment, but like, to me, it's like freshman college level, you know, religious debate. Yes, those with privilege treat equal treatment like repression. Yep, like women, right up there with dude. I don't know dudism.
Mm-hmm.
Some believed he moved from acceptance to try to figure out why, when wisdom, especially human wisdom, is ill-suited to understanding why things happen. I'm going to bring up my problem with it in a bit. When we're still talking about it, I still have like a problem with the book of Job. That maybe the answer is right there, and I don't know it yet. Maybe somebody that
get in line. I mean, get in line.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
There's a lot of people. I mean, there's biblical scholars who have serious problems with Job.
Okay, all right. Well, then I might as well just bring it up right now.
Job and Jonah are kind of like two of the redheaded stepchildren.
Yeah, it's the names with J. I'm doomed.
Mm-hmm.
But
there you go.
It's my problem is bad things just didn't happen to him. Like, getting into a car accident. Forgive me for bringing that up, or
that's fine.
Or getting cancer, or or birth defects, or having a heart attack. These are things that just happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes it's behavioral, sometimes it's lack of judgment, sometimes it's just oops, you hit the unlucky lottery, and that I have I have as much problem as the average bear with those things. It sucks, right. But you don't, but whatever. But my problem with the book of Job was it didn't just happen.
Mm-hmm.
This guy was targeted to make a point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was like, and to me, that makes God petty. Like, God should have been like, Satan, I have nothing to prove to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I didn't know also that you said it was written by Moses. I didn't know that. And it could have just been a story.
It's attributed to Moses,
Right.
but
And if it
yeah.
is a story, it makes me feel a little bit better because,
Mhm.
but if it's supposed to be gospel truth, like it literally happened, then because if it's a story, then I could say like it in my mind, how I'm always making Marvel comics to fit the continuity. My no prize is then it's something that these people
Well,
misinterpret.
we're running into the same issues that we've had with previous stories. In that all right, see you, man.
See, Zacton's always leaving.
Yeah.
Do I think the story is real? I don't know, but I thought that since it was in the Old Testament, it's as real as Solomon
Well,
and David and
it's
Saul.
got some specificity to it that a lot of I mean a lot of scholars don't even think that he was Jewish. He's from the line of Israel, that he was from another line, because there's multiple lines of monotheism with God at the center throughout the Mediterranean, Mesopotamian area. You know, Judaism is only just one line of monotheism, and so some people believe that Job was not even like from the Jewish monotheism line of monotheism. But the problem that we keep running into is that you're attributing human attributes to God.
Yeah.
And so if if a human did the things that God did with Job, then it would be pettiness. In fact, Job basically accused him of pettiness. But Job had the same problem, the same reaction you did,
Right.
right?
I'm sure he was a
Which
little
was the whole.
when you're watching your children die.
Well, I mean, the Bible clearly says that the rain falls on the just and the unjust.
Right, but the rain falls.
Yeah,
but Zeus grabbing a thunderbolt and throwing it down at somebody is divine action specifically targeted towards a person, and that's what I equate this is now like I understand this story is supposed to teach humans something. So to me, like if it is a story, it would have worked better of like humanity, like a bunch of humans were asking these questions or whatever. But the fact that like the devil is challenging them and God's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Why are you proving a point to the devil? He rebelled against you. You got nothing to prove to the devil. Like, oh,
Well, the devil ultimately is an instrument of God's will.
Right. And then this is the same thing of God hardened Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah.
This is taking away human agency. But this story is ultimately taking away human agency. Those kids were killed. Those 10 innocent kids. Now, we don't know if they were murderers or whatever, but I'm going to they were probably less than 15 years old, killed.
No, it seemed like they were adult kids.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever, but
the indication is they're mostly they're adults.
Is the ultimate removal of agency. Death is the removal of agency to the end, and these people were killed. Why? To make a point, to prove something to the devil, to prove something to us. All it proved to me is my power is in doubt. My love is in doubt. My feelings are in doubt. I can kill people. And the only answer that we're supposed to get out of it is trust me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's the book of Job in 2 sentences. My power is in doubt. Trust me, bro. And I have a huge problem with that. Maybe someday in my 80s, if I make it that long, I'll figure it out what we're supposed to. But as of right now, this story just is like a hard stop in the Bible.
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're not going to get the answers. And it's like he told Habakkuk, because Habakkuk was demanding from God these answers because he was seeing the Chaldeans and running roughshod over other people that were were more righteous than they were, and they were threatening Israel. And he was demanding to know why God would raise up these people, these awful, god awful people, and he was demanding to know what God was doing, and God ultimately said, "The just shall live by their faith." But he also said, "Even if I told you what I'm doing, you wouldn't believe me, or you wouldn't understand. You couldn't comprehend it." And okay, well, I mean, it's the same roadblock that we ran into before. It's either
Right.
you believe God has his best interest at heart, or you don't. And that seems to be the crux of the issue here: is do you believe God is good, or do you not believe he's good?
Well, just exact. Ultimately, I don't think we know for sure why it happened. We have somebody as to prove comfort to those who suffer, but this is not a comforting story. This just shows you
It is. It is a very comforting story.
That to me, this is a guy who's did everything right, and he was picked because he did everything right to prove something to somebody who wasn't going to accept the answers anyway. The devil doesn't accept the answers. The devil doesn't accept, you know, what
Well,
I mean. Oh, you're
yeah,
right,
but
God. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm now a good guy again. Like he didn't reform. The devil never learned a lesson.
well, let me say, as someone who has had misfortune happen to me in my life, that there were times when Job was a big comfort to me. And because you get it in your head that somehow this is all your fault. You get it in your head that somehow, you know, that you did something wrong, or that this is because of you. And that was one of my big issues.
But it was because of him. He was specifically targeted because he was a righteous person. If he wasn't a righteous person, he wouldn't have been picked. So this literally is him suffering.
Then the lesson wouldn't have mattered if he wasn't a righteous person. Ultimately, the whole story would have been a moot point if he wasn't a righteous person.
Right.
So
but
you can't have it both ways, John. You're always trying to have it both ways.
not this was a person who was targeted because of his goodness. And what's to say? And to say, like, it doesn't matter what we do, things just no, things just didn't happen. This was two divine beings targeted.
One divine being.
Well, Satan, whatever you want to call it, he's an angel. That's a divine being. You know what I mean? Infernal being, whatever you want to say.
He's a created being.
Right. But
there's only one divine being.
So,
Satan's ultimately a tool of God himself. So,
right. So it's you know what I mean. That's my problem with it. Is it's not things happen. Things just didn't happen to him.
Well,
you know what I mean. Like walking down the street and getting hit by a rock. That's something happened to you. But somebody throwing a rock at you, and ultimately somebody threw a rock at Job. So to me, it's not comforting. It's the opposite of comforting. It's just like I don't know if Job died, he gets all sorts. So you killed my kids.
Well, it's not comforting to you, but I'm saying that to people like me,
right? I'm saying I have a problem with it. That I want to find out what other people find comforting about this. You know what I mean?
I've been trying to explain it to you.
Yeah, I know, but it's still
you're spurging out here. You're spiraling.
It's not penetrated my dense head.
Well, I mean, it's not a matter of whether it's penetrating or not. I'm just saying, literally, from my own personal experience, Job is a lifeline for people.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad.
It's a very, very important book to a lot of people. And people that were in the Jewish people that were in the concentration camps, Job was a comfort to them.
I could see that.
Because people all the time who are righteous and nothing like Lee Strobel, who wrote The Case for Christ. He did a study about miracles and how people some people were just miraculously delivered. And yet his wife has a neurological disorder that she's been struggling with for decades. And so he's writing this book and he's seeing all these people here, like the Pool of Bethesda. Okay. Jesus passed by a lot of people and found this guy towards the back and healed him and not the people closer to the water, but he chose to heal this guy. And so you can sit there and at the end of the day, trust me, bro, literally is the whole point of it.
Right.
And either you do or you don't. Me, when I came to Christ, there's one verse that absolutely I could not get over the hurdle of believing that I had to have faith, a certain amount of faith before I could reach that threshold and basically accept the free gift of salvation. And I was hostile towards God. I actually hated his guts. I blamed him for everything. What happened to my parents and everything. I had the same reasoning you did. My parents were righteous people. My parents were good people. I never have run into anybody.
You were just angry at him, right?
Yes, I was furious.
Even in the moments of your worst fury, you still believed. You still believed in God.
I believed that I believed in God. But I believe God was an angry Zeus kind of like character who struck people dead that crossed him or whatever, or that didn't fit his will, or out of his own amusement. I had the same perception that you have, basically.
No, I didn't think he existed. I thought it was a man-made creation for most of my life. It was a logical man-made creation that people use to deal with things. Oh my God, I'm going to die. What does my life mean? And all religion sprang from that as a comfort. I didn't for a while. I thought it was like a bad thing, and then I was like, no, it's a good thing that people could. But it was an illogical thing. God created itself. How did God?
See, my problem was that I did believe he existed, but I didn't like him.
Right. Oh yeah.
I had real big issues that I couldn't seem to overcome. And there you go. But my issues, I read there's a verse in the Bible, and there you go. But the verse of the Bible, there's a story. Okay, the disciples, it was James, John, and Peter were coming down with Jesus off the mountain where he was transfigured, where he let his glory out, where he talked to Elijah and Moses, where he was like showing his godhood. And basically they were coming down off of that high. They were coming off of that incredible high. And they get down to the seashore, and all the rest of the disciples are trying to heal this little boy who's like rolling around on the ground. And his father's like just pulling his hair out. And the chief priests and scribes are all sitting there like cheering or jeering at him, Well, why can't you heal him? Why can't you heal him? You healed people before, right? And so Jesus got one of the few times that Jesus ever showed any frustration. But he's like, you generation of vipers, how much longer must I be among you? And nobody's for sure if he's talking about the chief priests and Sadducees, or was he talking about the disciples, because he was disappointed in them because they were trying to heal in their own faith or their own strength. And but he turns to the Father and he says, what would you like me to do for you? Which is weird because the son's like rolling around on the ground there, right?
You can start by healing this kid.
Well, the father like gives him the whole rundown of, I've been taking him to everybody. I'm pulling my hair out. He throws himself into the fire. He throws himself into the sea. He keeps trying to kill himself, and Jesus says, well, it's like, do you believe? Because all things are possible to him that believes. And that's where I was stuck. I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe, I don't believe that God's good. I don't believe he has my best interest at heart. I can't reach that threshold, and so I'd always run up against that every time. But then he says, "Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief." And I that just floored me. You know, the fact that he was admitting, "I don't have perfect faith in you, but little I do have, I give it to you." You know, you just please, please make up the difference, because I don't have enough faith. I don't have perfect faith. I don't have any left, basically. But little I have, I give you. And Jesus healed his son. And what that said to me was, I didn't need perfect faith. I didn't need enough. If I had any inkling of faith whatsoever, if I had a smidge of faith, and I gave it to him, then he would do something with it. And that just completely, totally made me miserable for almost 2 years. That one verse made me miserable for almost 2 years. And because I didn't have an excuse anymore. My excuse was like, well, I look at me, look at my life, how the heck can I ever have enough faith to do that? And I just had that crutch I could fall back on. But after that, I didn't have that crutch anymore. And, when Tuesday night in February, circa, 97 or so, I basically set out that night trying to make God mad enough to kill me, because I thought he would if I made him mad enough, because I thought he was kind of like what your perception of God is, that he was petty, that he was a petty Zeus-like character, that I could insult him bad enough that he would strike me dead. I mean, I cussed at him, I railed at him, I said things that anybody that heard me would be like, "Oh my God," I did my best to make him mad enough to kill me, because I was that miserable, right? And I was miserable. I was in pain. I was in suffering. A lot of trauma I hadn't dealt with, never could deal with. And I got to the end of the night. I was still alive. I was still breathing. And so I just, it kind of changed for me, like trying to make him mad enough to kill me, to me expressing how disappointed I was in him and all my problems that I had with my life up to that point. And more along the lines of, not "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you," more like I don't trust you. I don't know why I could ever trust you, but I want to, but I can't, And so I got to the end of the night, and my sinner's prayer was, "Lord, save me or kill me." I'm not going on. I can't go on from here. I was literally trying to think of ways to kill myself.
Right.
And next thing I know, everything changed. My perception of everything changed. There was a weight that was taken off of me. And the next day was a new day. And I can't like definitively tell you what that is. Nobody that has ever had that happen to them can tell you what that is. It's just a difference. There's a presence in your life. There's a part of you that turns on, that becomes alive, that wasn't alive before, that was dead before. And you perceive the world differently. You perceive other people differently. And there's another power within you that pushes back against your darker nature. And you're never quite comfortable being the reprobate that you were before. And I've seen people
You were
turn
never
around.
a reprobate. You were just angry. I couldn't picture you as a reprobate.
Well, I mean, I was a church kid, but as far away as I was from God, I might as well have been the most unrepentant Las Vegas lounge lizard that you can imagine. I mean, I hadn't done the physical things. I hadn't rebelled in that way. Still a teetotaler, never done drugs,
I
never had sex.
you were angry at God, so you put the girl's pigtails in the inkwell. That you were that kind of mischievous boy.
Well, I mean, but it's rebellion's rebellion.
Right.
And,
I'm making light, but
I know you are. Trust me, I have no, no sensitivity where this is concerned. Yeah, it is pretty. It is what it is. That's why, I see Charlie. Some of the conversations he had, where he would say along the lines that, I can't ever be good enough. And here's a person who, spent his whole entire life trying to being a good person, organizing good things for other people, being a righteous man as far as he can be, being a father and a husband in the last 5 years, and being an example to everybody around him. And he was saying, I can't be good enough. And because there's literally a gulf that you can't span on your own. And one thing about Job is this individual was as good as you can get, physically. He followed the law. He followed the prophets. He, did everything good in the eyes of God. And he had all these blessings because of it. But at the end of the day, his faith had never been challenged. He had never faced the dark, moments of the soul. He never had to face that. And so Satan showing up, on God's, basically he snuck into heaven, but God knew he was there. And so basically he thought he was sneaking into heaven. He thought he was counter to God's will, but God called him out once he got in. So in other words, he thought he snuck in, and then God's like, oh, I've been waiting on you. Come on over,
Yeah, the tea already made. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, has that ever occurred to you? Nothing's ever occurred to God, And when Satan asked that question, he was asking the question that God wanted him to ask. And then God basically said, this is the guy that I want you to do it to, And the reason why is the end of the day. So there you go. But at the end of the day, Job basically faced that dark moment of the soul. He plumbed his depths, and he came out the other side a better man than he could have ever been otherwise. And an example to people for generations out of this book. And that was all restored to him at the end of the day, but he learned lessons.
Yeah, but
in those dark days
everything
that
was
he could never
restored
learn
to
otherwise.
him. It's treating those 10 kids that were killed as commodities. Oh, here's your kids and kids. Here's replacement kids. Those were individuals. Those are combinations of DNA, never to combine again. That was their one chance to live, to breathe, to experience life. And I didn't think they could be adults, but given the ages of Job and everything, they could have been adults. And if they were adults, maybe they had children of their own or whatever. And they're gone. Oh, here's a replacement kid. Say that to a mother who lost a kid. Oh, you can have another kid. Here's a replacement kid. They're still suffering, for the rest of their lives. They could have 10 kids and lost 2, and they're still suffering. They're still blessed. They're still happy that they have these kids, but they're still going to, my sister has 4 kids, 3 kids. She lost 1. Now she's down to 2. She has grandkids and stuff, but she's still sad. You know what I mean?
Well, I have a sister that made it 23 hours.
Me too. I have twin sisters that I didn't know about until they showed us the plot. My father said, "This is where I'm going to be buried," and there was 2 little crosses. said, what are this? These are your sisters.
Hmm.
You know, they said they're the little coffins the size of shoe boxes.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I think I was 15 when I found that out. You know, before my time. You know.
Well, my parents buried my sister in a graveyard in a church in the next county over, because they were living with my grandfather at that time, and they didn't even go to the same church he did. But she was buried in that churchyard, and she, and then my dad always wanted to bring her home. He wanted to bring her to be beside of her them. But I had an uncle who like passed away, and he turns out he went to that church. I didn't know about it, but he's buried like a few steps away from her, so she's got company now. But thing about it is, though, is when David lost his son, the one that he had with Bathsheba, that Uriah the Hittite died to cover up, and God's punishment was that the child was on the child, the sin debt, and the child didn't make it, and David cleaned up, and he said, "Well, I can't bring him back from where he is, but I can go to where he is someday." It seems to indicate that children go to heaven, and I'll probably meet my sister in heaven. She would have grown up in heaven. So nothing's ever lost in God's economy. And so these children that died, Job would see them again. And so there's nothing ever really lost. That's the one thing, with all the abortions and things like that, it's hard for us to conceive of that. But the Revelations talks about a multitude that weren't born on earth will be in heaven. And so it seems to indicate that there's a whole bunch of beings in heaven that never saw earth. And the belief is by some pro-lifers that those are the aborted babies. And so that nothing's ever lost.
10 years ago, I was no longer like an evangelical atheist, but I was still like, I was like, I got no, like I used to say, like, I'm not angry, I'm not whatever, I just don't believe. You know what I mean? It's just not relevant. And I used to say I don't believe in Scooby-Doo either. You know what I mean? These are characters that just don't. These are literally. I don't believe in Sherlock Holmes. So why? But I was always anti-abortion, and that used to blow people's minds up. And I'm like, you're an atheist? And I said, I think atheists more than the Christians should be anti-abortion. And people were like, why? I said, because that's all we got. This was their one trip on the planet. This was it. That DNA is never going to combine again. And I used to say, like, it doesn't matter, rape, whatever. It's just that's a human life there, and this is one chance. And if you're an atheist, you think we die and that's it. So to me, that's even that's like a horror.
Yeah,
to kill these kids. You know what I mean? But I said, at least the Christians, the religious, believe in an afterlife. So yeah, it's bad, but to me, abortion should be like a H.P. Lovecraft horror sentence to but of course, people who are pro-abortion are pro instant gratification, and they don't think 2 steps ahead. That's been my revelation in the past 3 weeks. That left. I don't know where I came to that rationalization. I think it was listening to a Charlie Kirk thing that the left is it's instant gratification, and the conservative right, whatever you want to call it, is consequences.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And it's not like, and consequences are bad. Nobody wants to spank somebody on the butt. I don't enjoy. And in my comic book character, like if in the one issue he fought 2 different supervillains, the first thing he did was try to reason with them, because a father doesn't want to spank kids, but they understand that consequences are necessary.
Yeah.
So I could see why young kids and whatever they look at the Republicans as bad, whatever they just want black people to suffer, or they just want all women to be in the what's the name of that stupid book that everybody's dressed up in red for, the Housemaid's Tale or whatever it is,
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, and it's like, no, we want consequences, like and part
we
of
don't want people who were released 14 times to stab a innocent girl to death.
Absolutely. We want, and my wife she's struggling. She's a better person than me, because she's like, so what? Turn the other cheek? Like? I said, no. Jesus doesn't want people stabbed on the subways, and and Jesus, he said, render unto Caesar what is basically obey the law.
Yeah.
So letting these people go, that is instant gratification. Right now, some judge is going, I'm doing the right thing, I'm helping somebody, and then a bunch of liberals are just like, he's be rehabilitated. We can't put people in jail. Put people.
He's not in jail right now.
Right,
he's in a evaluation, mental health hospital evaluation right now.
Right.
And he can check, and at some point he can probably check himself out, so he'll be right back on the street.
Right, and or go into the clinic that the judge owns.
Yeah.
Right. Abort missions. This missions for abort. Am I misreading this, or is this a misprint?
He probably tried to say abortions, and then the autocorrect.
Okay. Because I thought there was something that I didn't know about.
It won't let you. If it won't let you type in abortion, and so
the devil says, "Listen to your feelings." In a secular world, view your feelings. Absolutely. It was Nurkish. I don't know if you know who Nurkish is. Of all people, maybe think of something. I've been trying to get him to come on my channel. He just ignores me. But somebody said, it's easy to be religious because all Christianity does is tell you what you want to hear. And and Nurkish, of all people, says, like, work hard, save your money, don't go out and drink, don't cheat on your wife, don't take that stuff that you want, because that's so easy to do. You know what I mean? It doesn't tell you. Anybody who thinks that is just so short-sighted. The Bible or religion or Christianity, I can't speak for other religions, but like the Christianity doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It's tough. Even I imagine anybody with like a strong faith struggles to do what they got to do.
Well, the one thing, it's like Charlie Kirk. I was watching, several videos, and one of the videos was somebody was asking him, "Do you actually believe in Christianity?" It's got a little snot-nosed punk trying to be like, "Oh, you actually believe in this stuff?" Like that, And he's like, "Well, one of the reasons I believe in it is just because if you follow the knowledge that's in the Bible and the practical advice that's in the Bible, it will instantly improve your life." He says, and it's been proven millions of times over this. Even if you don't believe in the God of the Bible, if you follow the precepts set forth in the Bible, it inevitably improves your life.
Right. Short example is don't sleep around.
Right. Exactly.
And you know what I mean? Like I remember in my 20s, let's be realistic. My dream was to have a bunch of sexy naked women at my beck and call.
Right.
I mean, and you got to admit, you daydream about that, but like, think about that. You're transmitting disease. Next thing you know, there's children involved, or worse, abortions involved, jealousy, people fighting, how the hell do these Muslims think having multiple wives is going to make their life any better? Man, one is
well, your wives are basically essentially penile receptacles who aren't allowed, they have no agency. That clears it up.
Right. So like, but
then you got all these feminists. It's like, Muslims are is the religion of peace, and it's like, okay, get married to one. Go marry one, Karen. But anyway, If you think
you know,
Handmaid's Tale was bad, you need to marry one. Go ahead.
I love the fact that all these people are dressing up like, handmaids and then going to Christian politicians. It's like, you don't need to make a fantasy of this. Go to the Muslim world and experience the real Handmaid's Tale.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Go ahead.
But that's a product of the school system. People don't know anything.
They don't, and that's one reason they had to kill Charlie, is because Charlie was revealing that to them. Yeah, he went. This guy was never went to college, went into Oxford and torched the place, and none of them could touch him.
I didn't know that. My wife told me that the other day that he never went to college.
It happened last year.
Like I said,
I think it was back in November.
I didn't really know too much about him, and I actively avoided him because I put him in the same space as Crowder, who just annoys me, and Ben Shapiro, who, oh man, I just want to pinch him, like right on, like not like a cute pinch, like your grandmother. Oh, Cooper, I miss you. You're getting so like I just want to like an emasculating. Shut the hell up.
Well, he will even admit that he was definitely on the wrong track early on.
Oh, really? That's good.
He put out a list of things that he no longer believes. Like a few months ago. But he's definitely
that's interesting.
Moderated.
Because I avoid him too, because just his voice gets under my skin. Like he could be saying pure gold, but I ain't listening with that voice. The real question for the non-believer is: would you like to be better off if you were Christian? It's proven we live longer up to 6 years based on study involving a few minutes. Oh, okay. Well, I think you live better as a Christian in Minnesota because you stay away from those crazy Somalians that are just freaking killing each other in the streets. So
look at the Amish, for instance. That's a culture that's completely withdrawn from modern culture. They follow the precepts of the Bible. And if you look at it, all their children are healthy, all their young men are healthy, and they all have a trade. And they're like superheroes. They did some carpentry stuff in Western North Carolina that would blow your mind.
My niece married a guy who's one of these tool guys, and they're close to. I think they're just over 30. They both work. They're both airplane mechanics. The handy people, and he was just like, they bought this beautiful house. I could go on and on and on about this house, but he's handy. But he wanted a barn because he wants a workshop. Yeah. So the Amish came and he said they built this barn in like less than a week. He said they were like ants.
They must have been slow Amish, because Amish can raise them in a day.
The size of this barn, and then it's a town in New Jersey, somewhere in the sticks, in New Jersey, by the Pine Barrens, and the city came. And they were like, "You can't have a business." He goes, "No, this is just for me because it is filled with every machine possible." He's one of those guys. He built a loft deck in the backyard by himself, and I'm like, I got to fix this deck in my backyard, and I'm like, his name is John. Also, I'm just like, John did this by himself,
right?
And I'm freaking out over this stupid deck in my backyard that needs repairs.
Well,
but anyway, back to your point. The Amish are amazing.
The thing about it is, though,
somebody asked them, "What do they do about peanut allergies?" And they were like, "What are peanut allergies?"
Yeah, what was that? You mean you eat something that makes you sick? What? So they don't have any.
I heard about this, that the Amish are having problems with because now we're starting to see the recessive genes, like fairer skin and reddish hair, and that's I've also heard this about Israel, that Israel is having a bloodline problem, and they've been expanding research into who is Jewish and not, to the point like there's a town in India called Goa where supposedly there was like a trading post, a Jewish trading post, and these people stayed, and the people there are Indian as can be, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got Jewish blood," because I do think this tiny nation is getting a little their population is going down or whatever, or at least it's not that healthy. You see thick Coke bottle glasses,
Well, but the thing about it though is when we talk about the biblical precepts, genetic code notwithstanding, But when you see this culture that essentially lives by the biblical precepts, and you see how much healthier they are mentally, physically, and socially than the outside world, and they're starting to come out and mingle a little bit, so we're starting to get a view of just what they're capable of. And like in Western North Carolina, they would build like projects that would take weeks, and they'd have it done by by mid morning. Um, and it's funny that they'd be told, it's like, well, what's your estimate? And it's like, estimate? What do you mean estimate? Well, we work till it's done. you know, and things like that. But basically the biblical worldview uh, has better outcomes than any other worldview, and it's proven over and over and over and over again. That if you live by these laws, if you live by these precepts, the American culture was built on it. The America that we have now was built by people who followed Judeo-Christian ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who says otherwise just is either indoctrinated or lying.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna grab something to drink. I'm right over here. I'm not going anywhere. Keep
talking. No problem. But when getting back to Job, ultimately, what people find comforting about Job is bad things happen to people, and happens to bad people, happens to good people. But Job ultimately means that there's a purpose behind it, and that there's an ultimate goal that God is looking to achieve here. Even if it's his permissive will or if it's the direct will. But at the end of the day, he's going to work it together for good. And with Charlie, 31-year-old, yeah, there you go. But 31-year-old kid accomplished everything that he has accomplished, got 2 beautiful children and a loving wife, gets gunned down. Doesn't make any sense. Where's the justice in it? There is no justice in it. And yet, I played a video today of a young man who was showing off a suit that his wife had gotten for him. And he seemed, this is a young gentleman who was on the wrong track at one point. And he, his wife, his girlfriend got pregnant. And so he married her. They had a child together. And the fact of him having a child made him want to be a better man. And so he started following these biblical precepts. He started, working to achieve, goals to protect his wife and kid and give him a better life. And so he's showing off a suit that his wife bought for him that was $300. He's like, I never had anything like this. And then he's like, but because of Charlie Kirk, kind of decided I'm going to take his suit and that my wife meant for our anniversary, and I'm going to go take it to church. And he's like, I want to be like Charlie. I want to be the husband and father that he is. And so this young man, that he's kind of got it together, and I saw where his father was like, I love the fire in your eyes, son, keep going. And then his wife is like, he's like, this has really gotten way bigger than I ever thought. I just bought it for our anniversary.
My favorite Charlie Kirk clip my wife showed me 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us really knew who he was until he was murdered. Mm-hmm. And in this clip, this young girl, she's religious already, and she's talking. And again, I didn't even know Charlie Kirk was religious. I thought he was just like some conservative. I'm going to go make these college kids look like a jerk. But anyway, this woman says to him, "My parents are divorced, and they're fighting through me." Mm. And she goes, "My mother's a conservative, and my father is a liberal." And that's what caused the divorce. They can't see eye to eye. And basically which one should she be with? You know, which parent should she embrace? And Charlie Kirk says, honor your parents, honor your parents. You know, and here he is, a conservative Christian,
Right.
and he didn't say, "Oh, abandon your liberal atheistic father and embrace you." And I just found it funny that the mother was conservative and the father, you know, but whatever. Yeah. The world is a strange place. And he says, honor your parents. He goes, where do you live now? And she says, I live in this college. I live in the dorms right now. And he says, well, call your parents like every couple of days. Talk to your mother, talk to your father. And then he said something that really made me think. He goes, colleges, for the most part, is the first time that kids, and I can't believe we call college students kids these days, when college students like used to be like inventing diseases, not inventing, inventing, you know what I mean? Like, like college age kids wrote the Declaration of Independence, and you know what I mean? But whatever, you guys get the point that I'm saying. But college, for a lot of people, it's the first time they're away from home. So you're away from home for the first, and he goes, and just like a cult, they isolate you from your family. He goes, everybody, call your parents, talk to your family as much as possible, because college is going to isolate you and indoctrinate you. He goes, and that's by design. And I gotta say, when I was in Albuquerque, I hardly ever called my parents. You know, when I was living in college. You know what I mean? It was like, wow, you know, and I'm sure my friends called their parents too, but we never talked about it.
Well, there's a good indication that the kid that shot him, that's what happened to him. You know, he went to college, got indoctrinated, and lost his way.
Became a furry. Yeah.
Yeah. But what the clip that really touched me was he was talking to this clearly gender confused girl, and she was basically, it's like, oh, what do you have to say to me? You know, what are you going to tell me to give all this up and whatever and things like that? And he's like, well, I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray for you that you reach a place where you love who God meant you to be, you know, who you were born to be. He says, I'm going to pray for you that you're going to discover the beautiful person that God intended you to be from your birth, and that you have some kind of peace with yourself, in that your true identity, the one that you were born into. And he says, and I'm going to pray for that. I'm going to pray that you find that. And she actually kind of like got really, you could say it really affected her, you know, because she was expecting him to be combative, you know, oh, just give up his transgenderism or whatever. And he was like, no, he says, I want you to be happy with who you are, but you can't be happy with who you are by pretending to be something that you're not. And it's probably the first time anybody ever told her that, you know, and you could see it was hitting her like a ton of bricks. And he had several girls that went with Turning Point and spoke at Turning Point that were detransitioners.
Yeah, there's a big detransitioner movement that's being, you know, what's the word? Suppressed.
Yeah, they're definitely, they don't want people to know that it's going on. But when he said it, that girl, I mean, this girl, she was about as, you know, she was obviously wearing flannel, you know, she's obviously like trying to, you know, be a guy, you know, or non-binary, whatever. And, you know, she had the piercings, she had the tattoos, and she had the hair color and everything. And he was just like, I just pray that you'll. And then I saw a video with a girl who she credits Charlie with putting her on the right track. And she's like, well, he just told me that I can never be at peace with myself unless I'm at peace with my own identity.
Right.
And you know, and
telling anybody. Now, I don't know about you, but we all went through puberty.
Yeah.
And puberty is a weird time. Everything is changing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I turned into an angry young punk rocker.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody gets affected in a different way. And the thing about puberty, like when I was 45 years old, I went to the optometrist, and I thought I was going blind because I always had really good eyesight. And the optometrist was like, "Oh, how old are you?" I go, 45. Oh, right on schedule. Your eyes get bad. He goes, "Your eyes are going to get bad for the next 5 years." He goes, "The problem is if you're 50 and your eyes still get bad, then you got a problem." So I was like, "Okay." And I said, "Well, I've never been 45 before." So I didn't know this. And the optometrist started laughing. He goes, "Nobody ever said that to me." He goes, "I'm going to use that, you know." So I go back to puberty. All of these kids are going through this. What the hell's going on? What the hell's and to them it's a unique experience. Nobody in the world has experienced what they're experienced because everybody's selfish and everybody's self-centered, you know. And then to tell them that they're born in the wrong body is, I hate this word, but it's evil.
It is. It is very evil.
It's the wrong thing. And then Lauren Chen said something that made me think. I don't know if you know, she's this conservative from Canada who may or may not have done something wrong. I don't know. That I wouldn't believe. I mean, I believe that she could be set up. I don't know. The jury's out. I want her to be innocent. But she said, if some man, biological man, says, "I don't feel like a woman. I don't feel like a man. I feel like a woman," wouldn't it be more logical to give him testosterone so he feels more like a man than to give him the other estrogen? Right? And she goes, and I'm not trying to be belligerent. I'm asking a legit question. Like, why do they jump to messing up your body? And it's such a basic question. I'm surprised I never heard that question being asked before. You know, you're a guy, you have a PP or an Audi, or you know what I mean, instead of an Indy, and you feel like you're a woman. Could be psychological, could be a lack of testosterone. Why jump to bodily mutilation? There's something, and you know how I feel about Dionysus and transgenderism is the death of a civilization.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's very interesting. The Minnesota, church shooter, he said something very interesting. He said that he says, "I realized that I've been lied to. That I realize this is a dead end. That it's not working for me. But if I detransition, then they're right, and I can't let them be right."
Right.
And so that's why he shot up the church and killed himself.
Right, because because he was too much of a coward to just off himself in his own room. Yep. That's like Daffy Duck level of stuff. You remember Daffy Duck when he dressed up as the devil and blew himself up on stage?
Yeah.
You know,
I remember.
That is the ultimate spite. That's what that person did. Yeah.
Well,
we've had transvestites for as long as I can remember. I'm 57 years old, you know, and I'm not gonna say Uncle Burl, Milton Burl was he did it for yucks, but there was like Ed Wood, you know, if anybody knows Ed Wood, this was a guy, and I took a human sexuality class in college, and this teacher was he just brought in like the most degenerated people to talk to young impressionable 19, 21-year-olds, and I just found it to be the most amusing thing in the world because I'm skeptic to the supreme. So I was kind of I'm remarkably immune to peer pressure and I react opposite. You tell me, "Oh, everybody likes U2, the band U2." Not me. To this day, I still don't like U2. You know what I mean? Back in the 80s, you had to like U2 and Bruce Springsteen. Not me. But anyway, he brought in transvestites, and you know, and I'm just like, so what? You can't relax unless you got like a guard. He's like, "Oh yeah, like and I just thought this was the funniest thing, and all I could think of was this guy has mental problems.
Yeah,
but he was amusing. I would have a drink with this guy because I never thought he would be violent. I honestly believe in a million years this guy would never hurt anybody.
Yeah,
he had a mental problem, and this was the way he coped with life. Do I understand it? Absolutely not. Do I think he's hurting anybody? Absolutely not. And I think he's a kook. I wish him all the best health in the world, but he's not dangerous. Now, Now we got the same thing, but these people are going nuts. But what happened is we didn't pump those people up with chemicals and hormones, and you know what I mean?
No. Mm-mm.
And I also, and I've been saying this almost since Columbine, those school shooters. Every one of those kids have been on antidepressants, some sort of
SSRIs.
Is that what SSRIs is?
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen that a lot lately, and I failed to look.
We didn't have school shootings until they started giving Ritalin to kids.
Yeah.
There was like one school shooting before that, and it was the clock tower guy. He was a Marine, so
yeah,
he went in school age.
He had bone spurs that was going into his brain, and he wrote a letter that there's knives in my brain, there's things in my, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And you know why?
What was his name?
I can't remember his name now, off the top of my head. But yeah, they were returning fire. People that were into college had guns, and they were returning fire, and that's why he went to that's why he had the blind spot, and that's why they were able to sneak up on him, because he had to get around to the back of the clock tower. And so that amuses me that that school shooting was like thwarted by the fact that that college wasn't a gun-free zone, and now all these school shootings are happening in gun-free zones. Yep. But I mean that is what it is. I mean, end of the day, Job is perplexing. Job does leave a lot of uncomfortable questions, but ultimately, I found Job very helpful for me. I know a bunch of people that have, and it's like no matter how bad your day gets, you're like, well, I'm not Job, and and some people, on my case, I'm kind of like, well, I'm. I didn't lose my kids or anything like that. I stay on my health, but Job's ultimately, it's kind of like, do you believe that God's working everything for good, or you don't? And with it, that one is in particular, I can see.
Yeah, it's still a problem for me. It's still a huge.
Right. Well, the Bible, that's the thing about the Bible that makes it unique, and all the religious tomes in the world. The Bible is unique because the Bible has like different like books of literature in it, and Job can be considered allegory. You can teach it as allegory. You can see it as an allegory, or you can see it as a cautionary tale, or a.
So, student of God, he said, "Do you believe it's real? Like, what did he say? Do you think the story is real? So, like, is there a different like consensus? Is it something that Moses made up? Is it supposed to be taken as a history, or is it
Well, no, I mean there's different like theories about where it came from, or why it's even the people agree that it's supposed to be in canon, that it belongs in the Bible.
It belongs in the Bible. It is in the Bible. Yeah, what was it? The Council of Nicaea. Where my favorite Saint Nicholas story.
Yeah,
stay tuned for my Saint Nicholas comic book, and we'll show you my favorite Saint Nicholas story.
But
you know what I'm talking about, right? At the council.
Yeah. Somebody got their jaw jacked.
Yeah. Santa Claus didn't start out as a kindly old elf, ladies and gentlemen.
No, he did not.
But it's part of the Bible. It's part of the Bible canon. But like some of the stories are supposed to be stories, and some of them are supposed to be history. And
do you want a God that you can perceive, that you can totally understand 100%, or do you want God to be a God?
No, but
I want bigger, higher, and more powerful.
A God that doesn't kill children to prove a point to the devil.
Well, I mean, what point was he actually proving, or what was his purposes in that?
That this guy really, really digs me,
Mhm.
That's really the point. Look how much this guy digs me. I could like that. That's
Or it
like,
could have been something entirely
that's like
different.
a, a boyfriend who's just like, look, I'm gonna slap this girl and she's still gonna love me.
Well, the thing about it is you're looking at it through human eyes,
Right. Well, I'm a human.
and yeah, I know exactly.
Contrary to popular belief and contrary to what my wife.
But you're expecting though it's ultimately the same issue we've had over and over again, and that is that you're
Right. Yeah.
expecting
That's why I
you're
like
expecting God to be fit in your you wanted to fit into a box, you wanted to fit into a
I
to a
ultimately
neat little
want God to
package.
behave better than humans.
Well, he is behaving better than humans.
Killing
Okay.
babies. Killing babies.
Yeah, but to you it's killing babies, but he's got the view way further and way bigger and way than we do. That there's a purpose for everything he's doing that we just can't perceive.
Or do we just tell ourselves that?
No, I mean he says it. He says it, and you either believe it or you don't. I mean,
but that boyfriend who slapped the girl says, "I trust me, bro. Love me. I'm doing this for you."
So you're saying it. You're once again you're borderline insulting here. Okay, so you're accusing God of being an abusive boyfriend here. Okay, I mean that's the thing. I mean, if that's what you perceive God is, then there's a gulf there.
No,
this conversation is pretty much over because if that's what you think God is.
That's what this story is teaching me.
Well, that's not the lesson of the story at all. I mean, but I mean that's the thing.
What is the lesson? I could pull the wings off this fly. I could pull all the legs off this fly, and this fly is still gonna love me.
So why are we having these conversations if that's what you think God is?
Well, because that's what this is. You know what I mean? It's I have a problem with the story, and I want to talk about it.
Okay. Well,
and again, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, and I'm not trying to insult your faith. I actually admire the fact that you get out of this. You know what I mean? I think especially since you told me your life story.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to insult. I'm beyond that now. Like,
well, let me tell you what God's will was Eden. That's what God's will was. That's what he wanted for humanity was Eden.
Right.
And what we've done since is what we've done to humanity is what we did.
God's will wasn't Eden.
Yeah. It was. That's what he built for us.
You yourself said that Satan is God's tool, and Satan tempted Adam and Eve, so God put the tool there. So God wanted. That's you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Either God controls Satan, and God ultimately.
Well, do you want free will or you don't want free will?
Well,
that's the thing.
There
had to be a choice for free will to exist. You had to have more than one choice.
These are two biblical stories where God takes away free will willy-nilly.
No, he gives free will. He gives free will.
Those 10 babies didn't have free will.
Job wouldn't have had free will at all if he didn't have all these things happen to him because he had nothing bad that ever happened to him in his life. And so his faith was based on basically his own, floating through life, being blessed all the time. And so he never had his faith tested until this. And
then Pharaoh had his heart hardened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was free will being taken away. Those innocent babies were killed.
Well, that's the thing. You're stuck where I was.
Right.
You're stuck where I was for years and years and years.
Have you heard the Coptics? I think I might be getting the name of the group wrong. It's either the Gnostics or the Coptics.
Gnostics.
They believe in the God of the Old Testament is the demiurge.
That's the Gnostics. Yeah.
Oh, it is the Gnostics. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say that sounds more and more realistic as time goes by. This guy
these conversations aren't helping you at all. You're just getting further away. I mean,
well, that's the whole point. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're
I
still
appreciate
running
this
up.
conversation, so please don't think I'm being insulting or hurting your feelings on purpose. I'm not on purpose. If I hurt,
Well, I mean, it's not that you're hurting my feelings. It's just that we're right back where we started. I mean, there's no
right,
movement here.
yeah.
You know, ultimately, you either think that God has your best interest at heart, or He doesn't, and you obviously don't.
Well, that's just it. I think that that if there is a God, like I'm not 100% religious yet. You know what I mean? I'm still traveling, but like if there is a God, he has to be perfect, and if he's perfect, he is perfect. There's no half perfect. Perfect beings don't need to prove to anybody that they're cool. That look what I could do. I'm gonna flex. That's imperfection. And if you want to say that's a human flaw, then I'm sorry. I'm human. Like
Well, I mean, you're expressing the same issue that I had.
Right.
It's not that I didn't believe that there was a God. I mean, I at least had that hurdle. I always believed there was a God. I just thought he was an asshole, and I didn't want anything to do with him. But that was within church. I was in church every Sunday.
My wife had her father had multiple sclerosis, and he went blind and then died while she was young. But I think the biggest thing that happened to my wife was she was best friends with this girl, and she was crippled, and she was in a wheelchair, and then and I think she was like 6, and my wife was like 5 or something like that, and she just died. She went to the hospital and never came home. And she said, like, as a little kid, that like just crushed everything. To the Wendy, her name was, and she always believed in God, but then she was angry. And then when her father died, she was,
yeah.
But me, I never had like a moment where I was like, damn you. I was just like, this doesn't make sense. Like I always say, like, if I was born in Iran, you know what I mean? And I grew up, I would believe in Allah and Islam, you know what I mean? And I would be saying, no, you're wrong. And and I'm sure there's guys in Utah, because again, if anybody's watching this, please, be insulted if you want to be insulted, but I don't mean this to be insulted. But when I hear the story of John Smith and Mormonism, I'm just like,
no, that's definitely not Christianity.
But do we have the right to tell them they're wrong too? Because, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like, I remember going to Arizona for my friend's wedding, and they had the Bible and the Book of Mormon. And I said, I'm going to read this. I read.
Well, when you look at who John Smith was, and you see what the Book of Mormon actually says, yeah, I think.
Well, I don't. Spoiler alert! I don't believe in it either. But
okay.
so it's like,
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I get it. I get it, John. I mean, yeah. If anybody had any doubts about the, it was even somehow it was even worse. At least you can like say, well, I'm not sure he existed or not. I was sure he existed. I was raised to believe he was there, and I saw enough to believe he was there, and but I just didn't want anything to do with him because I thought he was an asshole, And I had the same problems you did. Well, I had the same problems you did, and that. But I'd reached the end of myself. I reached the end of my own sufficiency. I'd gone as far as I could go in my own strength, and I wasn't able to deal with all the ghosts that had haunted me, and I wasn't able to function as a human being anymore. And I just reached the end of myself. You clearly haven't done that.
I will give. I will fully admit this. Christianity has provided us with the best governments on earth, and I will say living a Christian lifestyle, like it is, getting married, having a family, working hard, all the Protestant work ethic, that does provide the best. Like, I'll go on record here, and I'm going to say something completely startling. Living your life as a devout Muslim doesn't help. I mean, and even the so-called golden age of Islam was just they took all the Hindu stuff out of India,
Yeah.
and they had like a little infusion for 200
And
years.
there's no physical proof that Muhammad even existed. Most people don't know that. There is no physical proof that he ever existed.
Well, this is what I say. This is how, call me wrong, whatever, but I say go to your guy. Go to your guy. Like you're religious, so go to your guy, because you go to Jesus. I like Jesus. He's a good guy. He didn't do anything wrong. He said some really good things. So let's pretend, whatever. He existed. Let's pretend.
No, we don't have to pretend he existed.
No, I'm just saying, like,
fact that he existed.
I'm just saying that for the devil's advocate over here, for any strange atheists who are watching this for whatever reason. So let's pretend he existed, but he wasn't the Son of God. He still said some good stuff. And if you lived your life by what he even in my harshest atheist days, I've never had a problem with Jesus. Right. I thought he was a good guy. I admired him. All the stuff he said kind of made sense. Mm-hmm. I misinterpreted a few things, but that was on me, But anyway, I always admired him. Now, then you go to Buddha. I had no problem with Buddha either. Everything in moderation, treat everybody with respect. I got no problems with Buddha. He grew up in wealth, like the traditional story. He rejected it when he saw suffering and stuff like that, and he couldn't live in this. And he, basically walked the earth like Cain, and had like little whimsical, funny stories that really were good. Got no problem with that. Then you go to Muhammad. It's a piece of shit. He's an absolute piece of shit. Like, he endorsed rape, murder, slavery, everything that all of these
pedophilia.
Yeah. I didn't even want to say that, because just the word churns my stomach. But he's a piece of crap, and nothing good grows from a piece of crap. I mean, really, everything grows from a piece of crap, like fertilizer. But you know what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah.
And this is going to cause problems. But I don't particularly like Moses. I think Moses was a horrible person, and people get shocked when I say that. Read the deeds of Moses. He literally took slaves. He invented genocide. He had sex slaves. There's a story where he took a spear to two people that were doing the lovey-doveys. You know what I mean? Like, so is it any wonder that the Jews and the Muslims have been fighting? It's like, So that's how, if people get mad at me, I'm sorry. I'm being totally honest here. So I judge the religions based on the guy. Like, I don't know enough about Confucianism or Confucius himself to make a judgment, or Sheik. I don't even know who founded the Sheikness. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But so I will give Christians more credit, because at least their guy is a good guy. I'll even give Buddhists some leeway, because their guy was a good guy. But I don't respect the religion of Islam. But I do think they're good. There are good individuals who practice that religion. I'm not that much of a closed-minded individual. And I've met, and I'm friends with good, like Hindus. I don't know if that might be one of those religions that's just so old there is no real founder. I don't know, but whatever. But that's what I feel about the religion. So I'm no longer this like zealous. Now I guess I'm a seeker. I'm looking for answers, but who knows? My wife prays for me. She more than anybody else knows I need prayers.
Well, I will say this, that
excuse me.
That Jesus did say that those who seek me will find me. And so I'm highly encouraging you to keep looking. I mean, keep traveling this road. I mean, because ultimately, I mean, I think you're most of the way there. You just have that one hurdle, to get over, which is the same hurdle that I did. And I know how big that hurdle is. It was huge for me. So,
if I had to make a guess, if if for free will to exist you need evil, and God is outside time and wants to push humans to good, he might be seeing all the possibilities and taking actions that help us to fight against evil. Like he saw the things he did to Job made the devil not take a certain evil action that would destroy us. I don't know. That's a lot to absorb, and I don't want to just give a gut reaction. But like, for there to be good, I kind of reject the idea that you need evil. Like, couldn't you have a
well, how could you have good without evil?
Because good is a thing. Good is a behavior. I don't need a
as opposed to what? As opposed to what?
It's just good. If for me
defined by what? What's it defined by?
It's defined by what creates the most pleasant society. Like so you're saying me giving away to charity, preaching the word of God means nothing unless there's a pedophile over there? That's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. Unless there's a serial killer roaming Nebraska,
unless you have a choice one way or another. I mean,
unless
you're talking about free will. Free will is everything. I mean, your biggest proponent of free will that there is, but if you only have one choice,
doesn't need to be evil. There could be 100% everybody on Earth is good, and evil is
okay. Well, then communism should work.
No, because humans will never work. But we're making
Well, there you go.
But, no, but
we had it. We had it in Eden. We had that in Eden. But there had to be a choice, and so there's the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
So let's just say, okay, don't eat this tree. Don't eat this tree. Okay, we choose not to, and then they live in pure goodness, and evil never exists.
Yep,
but they chose not to eat it, so there is free will, but evil doesn't exist. That just proves that you don't need evil for there to. That's like saying, oh, we need dark for there to be light. No, in a room of absolute light, there is no dark. That doesn't mean the light ceases to exist. We don't need. There doesn't need to be evil. That's like saying, evil can be eradicated, and everybody's just like good, but they could choose to be evil, but they don't choose to be evil. So evil doesn't.
Are we going to start singing Imagine? We're going to sing Imagine. Is that what we're going to do?
That guy was a piece of shit, so everything that falls from him is a piece of shit.
But that's what he was saying.
I know about the Beatles. I think John Lennon, George Harrison is my favorite Beatle. I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
Paul McCartney ruined the Beatles. I'm sorry. All Yoko did was be ugly and a bad singer. But Paul made his wife's family run every aspect of the Beatles.
Okay, I got you.
And then Ringo was just like, hey, I'm just lucky I'm here. I'm just lucky I'm here. I'm not even particularly a good drummer.
There you go. Well, he's grown in esteem over the years. You'd be surprised.
Ringo?
Yeah,
I agree with you. He's no Hanson, though.
No, he's not very handsome now.
No, he's no Hanson. He's no Hanson.
Oh, there you go. Hanson, right.
You know what you said about Hanson? Mm-hmm. That when their contract was up and they refused to sign and they went independent.
Yeah, well, it turns out I got corrected later. Their contract wasn't up. They just decided that they were going to void their contract.
And that's when all the people started hating on Hanson.
That's when they did.
We were manipulated.
Right, we were.
And people who never even heard them, like, they suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, why? And that's why I wonder, like, I couldn't even name a Coldplay song, but I know that I'm supposed to hate them. Like,
yeah.
And that's why, just like I never liked Bruce Springsteen and I never liked you. I refuse to hate Coldplay because
Clocks is a hell of a tune, man. I love that song.
What song?
Love it. Clocks.
Flux.
Clocks.
Okay, I got to look up Coldplay. Maybe I do know one of their songs.
CLOCKS. Clocks.
Oh, Clocks. Okay, I don't know that song.
You do. You just don't know that.
Yeah, maybe. Just like I couldn't name a Taylor Swift song, but I probably know 20 of them.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but you know what? It's 2:00 in the morning.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to work early tomorrow.
All righty. No
Yeah.
problem.
All right. But thanks a lot. This was fun. I enjoy this.
Well,
I would like this. I just remember there's two things that I want. Psalm 82.
okay.
Talk about that, and I'll find the exact quote. But uh, I forget who it was, but one of the Israelites were defeated in battle because the Canaanites had chariots of iron.
Okay.
That's an interesting phrase. It just I don't know. It's to me that's such
Okay.
a comic booky thing. So tie it back to comic books. But thanks a lot. Anything you want to push? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to promote?
Well, just the community service, PDF sample. Just finished. We're working on 27, 28. I got 32 pages scheduled, maybe a little more, maybe 34. And so we're right on the edge of it. So we're getting
Cool.
there.
Good. Can't wait.
Yep.
Community
Yep.
service, for those of you who don't know, is Cooper's comic featuring Ironside.
Yep.
We both
everybody hates the title, but it's the perfect title. I mean, it's the absolute perfect title. Once you read the book, you're like, okay, well, it can't be titled anything else. So.
Me and Cooper have a thing for old man superheroes.
Yeah,
so you got excited when I showed Captain Atlas. I should send you the script for Patriarch's Origin, because Captain Atlas is a big part of it.
Okay.
And, so far, everybody who read it was just like, I want to know more about this Captain Atlas, because didn't quite tell the weakness yet. But once you know his weakness, maybe you don't want him hanging out with the.
Well,
but he is a good guy. He's a good guy. He's not one of these secret anti-bad Supermans. I hate that.
Well, Ironsides is actually he's got a secret too.
Okay, there you go.
So there you go.
But there you go. If I send you the script, would you read it? Or
yeah, I'd read it. Yep.
Okay, cool. I'll send it to you now before I go to sleep. Well, good night, everybody. Oh, check out Heroic Tales 2. It's still on Fun My Comic. And every night at midnight this week, I have a talk with somebody. So people are like, yeah, I'll talk at midnight. So my channel isn't like disappearing anytime soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. There's a lot of fun. If you have any comments, shocked by anything I said, mad at anything I said, want to, whatever, put it in the comments. I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just totally being honest, and sometimes being honest is not what you want to hear.
Yeah, John's just the heathen, you just have to overlook him. It is what it is. Yeah.
Heathen John's Heathen Box. All right, see you, everybody. So good night, kids. Here we go from Howdy Doody. People have been asking what this clip is. This is Howdy Doody, the clown that never spoke. This is the only time he spoke. He said goodbye, and it terrified an entire nation, and I find it so funny. So good night, kids.
Bye.
Goodbye, kids.